The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles could do no wrong. They had a hit animated show, a top-selling toy line, and in 1990, a blockbuster movie. What was next for the four Ninja Brothers?
I've never seen a walkthrough take the country by storm this way.
They're destined to become rock and roll legends. And their music is coming to Pizza Hut September 1st.
That's right, a rock concert, as the denim-garbed foursome hit the stage at Radio City Music Hall. This would begin their nationwide tour, and my guest tonight, Beau Allen, tried to defeat our heroes every night in front of sold-out audiences. As Shredder, Mr. Allen was tasked with stealing the world's music, verbally ripping on kids, kidnapping April O'Neil, and being defeated every night by our half-shelled wonderkin. Hang around while Mr. Allen regales us with his tales on stage and what it was like being a part of pop culture's weirdest history. He'll also help me prove one important thing, that Hamlet has friends.
3, 2, 1.
Hamlet has friends. Hamlet has friends. Hamlet has friends. See, Hamlet has friends.
Mr. Allen, how are you?
Good, I'm great.
Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me today.
Oh, pleasure.
It's 1990. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you when this job comes along?
I was 90. I was, God, I was, yeah, I was 40. Wow. And I'm now 70.
So you probably had done 1,000 gigs before this. Was this the biggest gig at this time for you?
It was more money than I had ever made. It was, I mean, I think, to be truthful, I was probably making about $3,000 a week doing that, involved in the travel and the per diem. And so it was excellent money. I mean, I had mixed feelings about it. I mean, I had a leading role in this, kind of a children's show. Not that I'm, like placing any value judgment on that, but I mean, it was much more about me than it certainly if I'd been on Broadway playing the doorman. So, so I was kind of glad to just stick with it, and it was, as I say, it was great money, and it felt special in its own way, it really did.
Do you remember what the audition process was like? What hoops you had to
Well,
jump through?
I literally came home from dropping off a couple of applications to be a waiter, and picking my daughter up at her prep school on the east side. And when I got home, this was before cell phones, got home, and there was a message from Sherry Seff, who was a casting director who lived in Manhattan Plaza. And ironically, she'd gone to AMDA, drama school, music and dramatic arts, with my now ex-wife. So I knew her very well, and she said, can you run right over to this little studio on 42nd Street and do this audition? Just be as evil and as, big and bad and evil as you can be. And I said, sure. So I literally I went off immediately to do it. And as it turns out, the show had already been cast, and somebody else was playing Shredder, and they were unhappy with this person. He was described as a diva, I guess. And so they hired me like on the spot, and literally I think the next day I was on a train to Glens Falls, New York, where it was appearing. I had, as I recall, I had 3 days to learn, or the rest of the week to learn the part. I watched a couple performances, and then I took over, and then the next week, literally, I opened at Radio City Music Hall for 2 weeks, and then, I guess it was in the second week that we recorded it for pay-per-view. And pay-per-view, you had to it had to fit in a 2-hour time slot, so we had to expand the show one way or another. One of the gimmicks that they used was to have David Ruprecht, I believe his name was, who I ironically had done a play with when I was in LA. I had known him. I think he was the boyfriend of the choreographer, I think, and that's how he got this gig, being a narrator, and so they stretched an enormous amount, having to do little interviews with children,
Yes.
and but then the other thing they had to expand the show was to have me come out
Rip up the kids. Yeah.
at the beginning of the second act.
Yes, you Don Rickles the kids.
Well put. Yes.
So it feels expanded because it feels like there's a couple of moments where you're just sort of like, man, I don't know what else to say to these kids. So do they have jokes, or are you just out there doing whatever you want?
That was all ad-libbed. Yeah, I probably made up a couple of things in my mind that I would say, but in the end, the goal was just to go out there and just stir up the hatred. And I remember, I said, haven't I seen your face on a milk carton?
Yes.
And aren't you a little old to be having that much fun?
Yes. I think my favorite one is where you ask a kid, who's that? And the mom eventually goes, that's his cousin. And you go, do you remember what you say?
A date. What's the matter? You couldn't get it?
I have been in that position where you can tell that they have told you to stretch. And there's only so much stretching you can do in this show before you're like, I got nothing left unless you want me to go blue.
I would look over at somebody at stage right, I think, and kept looking to see whether they were doing the stretching motion or finally, continue with the show. And dare I say, it probably turned out to be one of my finest moments. I mean, I really, for what they asked me to do, when I look at it, I go, kind of worked, it was kind of cool. And yeah.
And you certainly riled up the kids, which is obviously the whole point, is to get them to scream at you, which I think is hilarious.
Hatred was my applause.
Yes. Now, are the turtles on a track? Are you guys basically doing a Disneyland performance, or are they also live?
Oh no, they were on a track. Yeah. When we did, I don't know whether you've seen this, but we did a live performance for Oprah.
Yes.
And the two, Bob Bejan, I've been trying to remember his name is White. His last name is White. Tom White, I believe his name is. And they were the voices, basically. And so there were just the two of them doing the voices. Mainly, I think it was Michelangelo and Donatello that did most of the speaking. And in that case, they were actually backstage doing the voices live. But no, for the actual show, it was a track. But I gotta say, the guys were awfully good, but in particular, the guy playing Michelangelo, David Shatraw, his name is.
Yeah.
His physicalizations and characterizations that he did were, and his ability to just be right on it, and he was a standout. And yeah, I was very impressed with him. But everybody was wonderful. I can also say that, Mark Ennis, who played Splinter, he's no longer with us. He passed on, I don't know, 10 years ago now or something. But I don't know how we lost him so young. But he was a nice guy but did his job very well. Everybody was well suited. I don't remember. And then there was that little quirky character that was running around. I don't even remember the character's name.
The Baxter Stockman.
Yeah.
Speaking of cast, you also have Sherry Renee Scott, who is also there too.
Oh my God. Shit, what a voice. Oh my God. And I remember talking to her in the bus because we turned, we were they had hoped that the audience wouldn't be quite so young and that actually some more adult type people would actually be seeing it, but it became clear that the main focus was very young children. And so what the tour that they had planned got scaled back a bit. The set got scaled back a bit, and they reduced it all a bit, and consequently, it was what you call a bus and truck tour, and we literally were doing, I guess, one-nighters. Did we ever do two? I mean, it was like do a show, get back in the bus. It was a sleeper bus, and we could sleep on the next town. But Sherry Renee Scott said, she described herself as high maintenance, and she just wouldn't come with us. And I was really devastated over that because she was amazing. And I did see her on Broadway, by the way, in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yes.
What a delight she is. I was disappointed to lose her, but Heidi Mollenhauer took over. But what a different dynamic she had. I mean, her voice was much more alto, and Heidi ended up dubbing Demi Moore's voice, and I think it was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Yeah. And but I missed that sweet soprano soaring sound that Sherry Renee Scott had. It was lovely.
This was everywhere. This was at Pizza Hut. There was commercials about this concert. I remember the movie had just come out. This was like the biggest thing on the planet at this time. Did any of that ever sort of sink in? Like, we were in a very huge show, or because kids were showing up, where you're like, we're just doing a kid show. Let's just get through this.
Well, I mean, there were those banks of TVs on either side of the set, and so every image was being magnified, and it felt like a rock concert, and the music was fun, and a lot of catchy tunes they managed to write for it, and it played well. The kids were really into it, clearly. I was thrilled to be doing it. I remember my ears were ringing from, I probably should have worn earplugs through the whole thing. They're probably ringing right this minute, partially. So, but it was very loud, and but it hit the spot. I mean, I will say this. It wasn't a career builder for me. I mean, it's like I don't think anybody in casting, looked at it and said, "Oh, wow, you were Shredder," and then no, it's like my career. That really was the highlight of my career.
And is the Ninja Turtles concert the first thing on your resume now? Like, do you put that top?
I mean, the mainstream casting directors, the people in the, very rarely does anybody ask me about that, which seems strange somehow, but yeah, they would have to be in this age range that you appear to be in, to have, to have seen it and have it be, have a lasting effect on them. And I mean, we were at Radio City Music Hall, but that's just 2 weeks, and then we were off on the road. So
and Sherry was with you during Radio City, and then when you guys got on to the bus, you had Heidi come in?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, Sherry may have done the beginning until they got her rehearsed and ready to go.
Did the Diva Shredder know you were replacing him?
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
It's funny. That was one of 2 times somebody got fired for me to go into the show. The other was a Broadway show of the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, because I'd been out on tour, the first national tour with Alexa Smith of the same show, and then my wife got pregnant, and we decided, well, we really need to go home and to have this child, and so we did. But they did tell me before I left that they were going to put me in the Broadway show of Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and they finally did. I was going through a nail biting few weeks waiting to hear, but yeah, they let somebody go and put me in.
How many, so obviously you have all the guys in the costumes and all, is there multiple actors who are now swinging in? All right, it's act 2, I'll be in the costume now and you guys take a break?
They were all did their own part the whole time, and I specifically remember when we played Denver, because of the altitude, they went on oxygen when they came off, and they were also, I think, paying for a massage therapist for them. I mean, it was very strenuous on those guys, very, very strenuous. My hat's off to them. Thank God I wasn't in one of those.
Right. No, you were, I say that you had the perfect part. You get on, you rip kids for a little bit, you get to rap I Hate Music, and then you grab something from the deli tray and you go back to your bed.
No deli trays. This is not film work, and that is, yeah. You do film work, you get deli. Well, of course, that's all going to change now.
Right? Yeah. Now, no one's getting any craft services. Do you remember, were there masks attached to their jaws? Is that what's puppeting, or are there puppeteers as well off stage trying to get those mouths working?
Because their mouths, they move. Did they move?
Sometimes.
No. I didn't. They must have. It must have been strapped onto their chins, and they could do that. I don't think there was any animatronics going on there that I know of. I think not. No, I think they were in control of it all.
Now, was there any universal sign for one of the turtles to be like, I'm in trouble? So if you see this happen, Shredder, you're going to have to pop out there and take over the show?
That's a real good question, and I think the answer is no. I mean, but yeah, not that I know of.
So there was never a time you guys had to shut down the show. You guys did it all. You were fine.
Oh yeah, the show. I don't remember ever having an issue that delayed the show in any way. We had it down, and of course, And then it would be like loading out of a big arena where you're coming up out of literally, you know, how you can drive a truck down in there to get your trucks in to get the set in or whatever. And so we would trudge out of there to try to get, were we going to the bus, of course, to leave. And there would occasionally be, what did I call them? Little, I want to say impugns. I had a word for children that was derogatory. Punoids, I think. Punoids. There'd be a few punoids there and wanting an autograph. And of course, I always wrote the same thing: get a life. I mean, what else would Shredder write?
You wouldn't say anything else. It's perfect. It's perfect. There's nothing better, I think, than playing a villain, right? Like, there's nothing more fun.
Yeah, I mean, there is a part of me that just would give anything to just be the leading man, to be, you know, say Gary Cooper or something like that. You know, would love to just be that guy. But I gotta say, you can release a lot of angst and a lot of grief by being evil and hateful. And it isn't who I really am. I'm really pretty easygoing and a pleasant sort of a guy. But when you're 6'4" and you have a low voice that you go into that place and have it work, then you know, we didn't make the most of it and use it, make some money doing it. So that's what I did, and it was memorable. It was a really memorable time, I gotta say.
Do you have anything from it? Do you have any souvenirs or anything that you kept from that run?
I have the jacket, and if I thought I would have brought it outside here. It's got my name on it, Beau, just Beau, and the whatever it is, the image of the you know, how it's a black leather jacket and stuff,
Right.
the logo on the back, and I also had all the turtles sign it with, I used some kind of a cloth ink kind of thing. It's not really ink though, because it's raised, and they all signed it, and I still have that, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And if they were to bring back the tour, you would obviously sign on, right?
Sure. I mean, how could you say no? But
do you feel like you could still do that evil laugh? Because you are laughing throughout that entire show in a way that I think only Jim Carrey has bent back and laughed like a lunatic. Like, you are full on bent over.
Turtles, how nice of you to drop by. Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, I don't know how this happens, but I'll get this job back for you. That's it. It's a solid, it's done. Once I get this concert back, I'll interview you again, and we'll talk about what it was like to put the Shredder uniform on again.
You really, the guy to get in touch with is Bob Bejan.
Yeah, and he wrote everything, right? Didn't he write all the music and all that stuff too?
Yeah, it was his baby, and I gotta say, did a really good job. I mean, it's pretty amazing, and I was very lucky to do it, even though I did have to turn down a Broadway show. How bizarre!
I can't thank you enough for spending some time with me, Mr. Allen. You're so great and so gracious to do this. I know a lot of nerds will be very happy to see you doing so well.
If you are able to work in show business successfully, you know, you won't really be working a day in your life. You're just doing what you love to do. you know, and yeah, we all need money to survive, but to do something you love, like standing on a stage and acting or singing or dancing or doing or you know appearing in a film. I mean, it's the thrill has never left me. I love it. I still want to do more. I will never actually retire. Forget it. I mean, you retire, you die, right? So,
Thank you again, sir, for talking to me. You're just great. Thank you. Thank you.
pleasure.